Big spoiler warning for all this and for all previous seasons of Stranger Things. We're going to dive into the characters and then touch on the plot of the season. I'm very much excited to see what was your favorite part, so comment below and let me know. 11, aka Jane Hopper, was in her weakest and strongest form this season. Her struggle with losing her powers and going through training and regaining them was a very big highlight for me. She has a really big and heartwarming reunion with Dr. Brenner and Dr. Owens, but ultimately we see Dr. Brenner still sees her as a tool and as a weapon. 11 really didn't share much of the screen time with her friends or family this season, but mastered an ability to connect with them thousands of miles away. Her character has developed so much these past seasons, so it's worthwhile to see where she levels up next season. Vecna, aka Number 1, was the main antagonist for this season and didn't disappoint. Jamie Campen-Bauer was a great casting, and the character really gives the evil of this show a real face and a big bad. The Mind Flayer seemed to be a creation of his when he was transported into the Upside Down in 1979. Vecna's manipulation was very apparent even as a kid, developing an interest in spiders. Him and 11 are almost matched in telepathic strength. Seeing him conflicted with other characters and using their surroundings to fool them that they were in the clear, that they were safe, and ultimately killing them in a very graphically and terrifying way. His development is another one I want to really watch next season, especially when him and 11 have the final rematch. The returning cast was also refreshing to see. The crew at Hawkins investigating Vecna's killings and origins were super fascinating. Adding lore to this world really expands the reach of the show. I was also a big fan of newer characters added. I love the Robin and Steve friendship dynamic, but I think Dustin and Eddie were a great match in this season. Seeing him and Robin argue about music was fun too, and then just seeing all these characters tease each other and give audiences a good break from the bigger danger and the scarier dynamics of the show. Max's season 4 arc was incredible. Max was struggling and grappling with the death of her brother from last season, and it was drifting further away from her friends, and it made the conclusion at the end of the season incredibly tragic. The weakest story for me had to be the Russian and Jim Hopper story arc, just because I had to pick something, and this was honestly the only gripe that I had with the whole season, because it was awesome to see Jim return, but I think it also was a little too long, and I think we could have really gotten Jim sooner, at least somewhere else. The plane sequences with Joyce and Murray just seemed too forced, and I think we could have sped up Jim's return. Not that he had to go and meet 11 earlier. I actually like that they brought him back at the end of the season, because it sets off a cliffhanger there too. When Will Byers goes next season, I think that's going to be so important, because his connection to the Mind Flayer plays a key role, because he connects, that means he also connects to Vecna. So there's a huge dynamic and a huge collision between all these characters next season, and I think Will Byers is a key role in that conflict, in that epic conclusion. I think he will play a role like he did in season 2, and I think it only makes sense, especially with, man, they did them wrong, man. They forgot the man's birthday. I mean, come on. Another character I think that took a backseat was Mike. Not that Mike is a bad character. This isn't the traditional Mike that we saw in the first couple of seasons, where he kind of lifts his friends up, kind of helps build them up, especially 11. Their dynamics the first 2 seasons was just unmatched. They had a great character, they had a great friendship, and it blossomed really well into a relationship. It was nice to see them reunite, but I think we were left with a lot of development between the two of them, and next season we're going to see the ramifications of that. Maybe Mike and 11 won't have the same connection they did before because of 11's development. That's a fear that's actually explored this season with Mike. He's afraid of 11 being too, not needing him anymore. But the writing and story this season was honestly really well done overall. A great build-up and raising the stakes higher than it was the season prior. That's the right approach. That's what each show should try to do every year, especially with a plot like this. Bringing in the military and dividing the team farther apart. I enjoyed that dynamic, and I enjoyed that it heightened the level of danger. Next season, we're going to have the entire cast returning for the final clash against Vecna, so it's going to be super sweet to see all these characters reunite. The story about Henry Creel's journey to Vecna was mind-blowing. The show is maturing in its themes, but also in scope. The effects of the show were just on point with the music. Kate Bush is running up that hill at 500K plus listens on Spotify. She's loving the show's attention. The show is going to win a lot of awards, much deservedly so, and it sucks we're gonna have to wait till 2024 for that epic conclusion, but if that means we don't have to get a final season like we got from Game of Thrones, that's cool with me. Comment below on your predictions for season 5. This has been Joel from Real Talk. See you soon.